What if I told you that nothing around you is truly solid? Not the chair you're sitting on, not the screen you're staring at, not even you, because the truth is, everything is vibration. For centuries, mystics, philosophers, and visionaries spoke of a hidden force, an unseen rhythm woven into the fabric of reality, a law so powerful, it shapes not just the world around you, but the very thoughts in your mind. They called it the law of vibration. The Egyptians carved it into stone. The Hindus whispered it through sacred sound. And today, science is proving what the ancients always knew. What if I told you that right now, the frequency you emit is sculpting your reality, that your emotions, your beliefs, even your destiny are all vibrating at a frequency you can control? Because once you understand this law, nothing will ever look the same again. Let's begin. What if the entire universe is vibrating, and so are you? Everything you see, everything you touch, even the thoughts running through your mind, none of it is truly still. Not for a single moment. The chair you're sitting on, the air around you, the very atoms that make up your body, each one is in constant, ceaseless motion. Ancient mystics knew this long before science confirmed it. In the Kybalion, a sacred Hermetic text, one principle was revealed, a truth so profound that it would later be echoed by physicists, philosophers, and spiritual seekers alike. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. This is the law of vibration, the third of the 7 Hermetic principles, a hidden key to understanding not just the physical world, but the very fabric of reality itself. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine this. You place your hand on a solid table, feeling its sturdy surface beneath your fingers. But in reality, that table is not solid at all. If you could shrink down to the scale of atoms, you'd see a vast emptiness, particles spinning, vibrating, oscillating at unimaginable speeds. The same goes for your body, your bones, your skin, even your heartbeat. Each one a unique frequency, a signature vibration that makes you, you. The ancients understood this. To them, vibration was the bridge between the physical and the unseen, the key to unlocking the mysteries of existence. In ancient Egypt, the priests of Thoth taught that the cosmos was held together by a rhythmic, harmonic force, an energy that could be harnessed through sound, intention, and will. The Hindus called it Nada Brahma, meaning the world is sound. The Vedic sages believed that all of creation began with a single vibration, Om, the primal resonance that still echoes through the universe. But this isn't just spiritual philosophy. Modern science, too, has begun to uncover what the ancients always knew. Quantum mechanics tells us that everything, matter, light, even empty space, is made of vibrating energy. String theory proposes that at the smallest, most fundamental level, reality itself is woven from tiny, vibrating strings of energy, oscillating at different frequencies to create everything we see and experience. And then there's thought. What if your thoughts are not just ideas floating in your head, but vibrational frequencies broadcasting out into the world? Neuroscientists have discovered that the brain produces measurable electromagnetic waves, that your emotions, your beliefs, even your deepest fears, all have their own unique energetic signature. What you think, what you feel, sends out a frequency, one that interacts with the world around you, shaping your reality in ways you may not even realize. This is why the law of vibration is so powerful. It is the hidden force behind all manifestation, all attraction, all creation. It is the reason certain places, people, or ideas seem to resonate with you instantly, because they match your frequency. It's not magic, it's not coincidence, it's physics. Everything is vibration. And once you understand that, you'll begin to see reality in an entirely new way. But where did this knowledge come from? How did the ancients discover what science is only beginning to confirm? To answer that, we must go back, deep into the past, to the teachings of Hermes Trismegistus and the hidden wisdom of the Hermetic tradition. Before science, before religion, before the rise of modern civilization, there was a voice, a single name whispered across centuries, a man, a myth, or perhaps something more. Hermes Trismegistus. To some, he was the Egyptian god Thoth, scribe of the gods and keeper of divine knowledge. To others, he was Hermes, the Greek messenger who moved freely between the heavens and the underworld. But in the Hermetic tradition, he was both, a fusion of wisdom and power, of science and spirit. He was known as thrice great, for he had mastered the three great disciplines, alchemy, astrology, and theurgy, and from him came one of the most mysterious and enduring texts ever written. The Emerald Tablet. As above, so below, as within, so without. These words weren't just poetic metaphors. They were a code, a vibrational blueprint of how reality mirrors itself, across planes, across dimensions. The Hermetic teachings revealed a universe held together not by chaos, but by order, an unseen harmony, and at the center of that harmony was vibration. According to Hermetic wisdom, vibration is the bridge, the link between the seen and the unseen, between mind and matter, form and spirit, the mortal and the divine. Nothing is still, nothing is dead, everything is moving, everything is alive. In this ancient worldview, the entire cosmos was a living organism, humming with intention. The stars, the elements, even human thought, all pulsing with unique frequencies. To the Hermeticists, this wasn't metaphor, it was law. The law of vibration, placed third among the 7 Hermetic principles, was considered a foundational truth, one that could unlock the deeper workings of alchemy, manifestation, even magic. For if everything is vibration, then by altering frequency, one could alter reality itself. This is why the early mystery schools guarded these teachings with their lives. They believed that true power did not come from weapons or wealth, but from the mastery of vibration. Through ritual, through chanting, through geometry and sound, they sought to tune themselves to the divine rhythm of the universe. They believed that those who could match the vibration of a thing could become one with it, and that by aligning with higher frequencies, the soul could ascend, not just metaphorically, but literally, to higher planes of existence. These weren't just spiritual beliefs. They were technologies of consciousness. Long before modern science caught up, Hermes Trismegistus described reality not as fixed, but as flowing, not as made of matter, but as made of mind, energy, and frequency. And he wasn't alone. The ancient Egyptians spoke of Ma'at, the principle of cosmic harmony. The Greeks spoke of Logos, the divine order vibrating through all things. The Hindus spoke of Spanda, the subtle trembling that gives rise to form. All different names, all pointing to the same secret. That behind every moment, behind every thought, Behind every form you can see, touch, or imagine, there is vibration, and those who understand its patterns can reshape their reality from the inside out. So where did this knowledge go? Why was it hidden, forgotten, or worse, suppressed? To understand that, we must journey further into the sacred sounds of the ancients and discover how civilizations across the world used vibration as a tool to reach the divine. Long before microphones, machines, or modern instruments, sound was considered sacred. It wasn't just something to be heard. It was something to be felt, to chanted, to invoked, to used as a key. Across ancient cultures, separated by oceans, languages, and millennia, one truth echoed through temples, mountaintops, and sacred circles. Sound is creation. In the ancient Vedic texts of India, there is a single syllable said to contain the entire cosmos, Om. Not just a sound, but a vibration, a frequency, a portal. Om was believed to be the first sound of existence, the moment the universe exhaled itself into being. It is the vibration from which all matter, time, and energy arose. Not a word, not a name, but the resonance of consciousness itself. When ancient sages meditated on Om, they weren't just seeking peace. They were tuning themselves to the source of all things. According to the Mandukya Upanishad, one of the oldest and most revered texts in Indian philosophy, Om is the sound behind waking, dreaming, deep sleep, and beyond. It is the eternal vibration behind all states of consciousness. And even today, when Om is chanted with intention, something stirs. The air thickens, the body resonates, the mind slows, because you're not just making a sound, you're aligning your inner frequency with that of the universe. But India wasn't the only place where sacred sound shaped spiritual life. In China, ancient Taoists spoke of Qi, the vital life force that flows through all living beings. Qi wasn't just energy, it was vibration. It moved in spirals, waves, and pulses, just like sound. And Taoist masters developed entire systems of breath, movement, and vocal vibration to harmonize with it. Practices like Qigong used tonal breathing, healing sounds, to balance organs and energy centers. Each sound corresponded to an element, an emotion, a frequency. The idea was simple, but powerful. Sound could heal. Across the Pacific, Native American and indigenous cultures also understood this deeply. Drums weren't just instruments, they were living beings. The beat of the drum mirrored the heartbeat of the earth. The rhythm wasn't entertainment, it was medicine. Chants, rattles, flutes, all carried specific vibrations. They were used in ceremony to call in spirits, to release grief, to guide the soul through visions. Every sound had intention, every frequency had purpose. And the reason these practices were so universal is because they weren't based on belief. They were based on resonance. The human body, made of water, minerals, and electric current, naturally responds to sound. It absorbs it, reflects it, becomes it. Modern science now confirms what the ancients knew intuitively, that sound waves can influence brain states, that low-frequency sound can reduce inflammation, that certain frequencies can stimulate healing, enhance mood, and activate intuition. Sacred sound was never superstition. It was a technology of the soul. From Om to Qi, from chants to drums, ancient traditions understood something we're only beginning to reclaim. That sound is not just a vibration we hear. It is the language of the universe, and when used with intention, it becomes a bridge between the human and the divine, between the seen and the unseen, between who we are and who we're becoming. So the question is no longer whether sound carries power. The question is, are you listening? There is a rhythm beneath all things, a quiet, invisible symphony that plays through the stars, through the wind, through your very heartbeat. You may not hear it with your ears, but you feel it in the spaces between silence, in the pulse of emotion, in the way certain places hum with energy and others feel heavy or still. The truth is, stillness is an illusion. Everything moves, everything dances, even the smallest particle in the universe, the tiniest flicker of matter, is in motion, vibrating, oscillating, pulsing with life. This wasn't just a poetic idea for the ancients, it was truth. The earliest civilizations weren't primitive. They were attuned. They watched the stars not just to tell time, but to feel harmony. They built temples, pyramids, and sacred sites aligned not only to the heavens, but to frequencies. The Great Pyramid of Giza, for example, isn't just a monument of stone. Its internal chambers resonate with specific acoustics, mathematical harmonies embedded into its structure. The ancient builders weren't only architects, they were vibrational engineers. In the mystery schools of Egypt, Greece, and beyond, initiates were taught that reality could be shaped, not by force, but by frequency. They believed the universe was not made of things, but of tones, each thought, each emotion, each word, a note in the great composition of creation. And if you mastered the notes, you could master the music. These schools were hidden, secret, often guarded by oaths and symbols because their teachings carried power. Power that could awaken the spirit or destroy the ego. The Pythagoreans in ancient Greece, for example, believed that mathematics and music were not separate. Pythagoras taught that everything in the cosmos was governed by number, and that number expressed itself through sound. He referred to the music of the spheres, the idea that the planets themselves emitted a form of sacred harmony as they moved through space. Not noise, but vibration, the frequency of order, of balance, of universal intelligence. Even in early Christian and Gnostic traditions, this idea persisted. The Gospel of John begins not with a creation myth, but a frequency. In the beginning was the Word. But the original Greek doesn't say word in the way we think. It says logos, which means divine order, reason, vibration. The beginning wasn't language, it was sound. It was movement, an ancient pulse that brought matter into being. This is why rituals, chants, and sacred geometry were central to spiritual life. Not for superstition, but for resonance. Because the body is an instrument, the mind is a receiver, and the soul is a frequency waiting to be remembered. Today, modern science is finally catching up. Physicists now observe that atoms are 99.999% empty space, held together by energy, vibrating at specific frequencies. Biologists have found that every organ in the human body has its own vibrational signature, and even NASA records the electromagnetic songs of planets. The ancients always knew. They didn't need telescopes or electron microscopes to feel the music of reality. They lived in harmony with it. The invisible symphony, the dance behind the veil, and the moment you pause and truly listen, you might hear it too. We live in a world that appears solid. Tables, walls, bodies, mountains. But what if all of it, everything you've ever touched, held or stood on, is not actually solid at all? What if solidity is just a slowed down illusion? This isn't philosophy, it's physics. In the early 20th century, a revolution unfolded, not in temples or pyramids, but in laboratories. Albert Einstein shattered our understanding of reality with a single equation. E equals mc squared. Energy equals mass, multiplied by the speed of light squared. With those three symbols, he revealed that matter and energy are not separate. They're the same thing, vibrating at different speeds. Matter is simply energy that's been compressed into form, or as some physicists put it, matter is frozen light. Let that sink in. Everything you see as physical, your hands, your phone, your home, is made of vibrating energy held together by invisible forces. You are not a solid being. You are energy, in a temporary form. According to quantum physics, atoms, the building blocks of all matter, are not tiny, solid balls like we once imagined. They're 99.999% empty space. Inside every atom, there's a nucleus made of protons and neutrons, and even smaller particles, quarks and gluons, swirling in constant motion. Surrounding that nucleus is a cloud of electrons, moving so fast they blur into probability. This space, this movement, this dance, is what forms everything we call real. But there's more. Max Planck, the father of quantum theory, introduced a concept called quantization, the idea that energy is not continuous but comes in discrete packets. He called them quanta. It was Planck who said, "I regard matter as derivative from consciousness. Everything we call real is made of things that cannot be regarded as real." This wasn't just a scientific discovery. It was a spiritual revelation wrapped in equations. What we perceive as matter is simply energy vibrating at a lower frequency, dense enough to create the illusion of solidity. And light is just energy at a higher frequency. So when Einstein showed that matter and energy are interchangeable, he wasn't just speaking theoretically. He was describing a universe where form and formlessness are one, where your body and a beam of light are made of the same substance, just vibrating differently. And this has profound implications, because if matter is energy and energy vibrates, then reality is not fixed. It is fluid. It is frequency. And if everything around you is made of vibration, then you are not just interacting with the world. You are tuning it, whether consciously or not. We've been trained to believe in the solidity of things, but now science confirms what mystics have always whispered, that beneath the appearance of form, there is only movement, only vibration, only light, learning to hold shape. So the next time you look in the mirror, know that you are not just flesh and bone. You are energy. You are motion. You are light, temporarily slowed down into matter. And what you can shift is not just your mindset, but your entire frequency of being. Your thoughts are not just ideas. They are not abstract, invisible things that live only in your head. They are energy, real, measurable, electromagnetic. Every thought you think generates a frequency, a ripple that extends beyond your brain and into the world around you. And whether you realize it or not, you are always broadcasting. Modern neuroscience has confirmed what ancient mystics intuited thousands of years ago, that the mind is not a closed circuit, it's a transmitter and a receiver. When neurons in your brain fire, they create electrical impulses. These impulses generate electromagnetic fields, and those fields, while subtle, extend outside the skull. This is not science fiction. This is measurable fact. Using electroencephalography, or EEG, scientists have mapped the brain's electrical activity into what we now call brain waves. These waves, alpha, beta, theta, delta, each correspond to a unique state of consciousness, and each one a unique frequency. Beta waves are fast and sharp. They dominate during states of high focus, stress, or problem solving. When you're alert, thinking critically, or operating in survival mode, your brain is in beta. Alpha waves are slower, smoother. They emerge when you're relaxed, calm, and present. Meditation, deep breathing, even gazing into nature, all increase alpha wave activity. Theta waves are even deeper. These are the frequencies of dreams, intuition, and access to the subconscious. Theta is the bridge between the conscious and unconscious mind, often accessed in deep meditation or just before sleep. And then there are delta waves, the slowest, the deepest. Delta dominates during dreamless sleep, where the body repairs and consciousness drifts beyond form. Each of these brainwave states isn't just neurological. They are vibrational signatures, states of being, and each one carries a frequency that affects not just you, but your environment. Think of your mind like a tuning fork. When you're in a high-stress state, fast beta, chaotic thoughts, your field becomes erratic, scattered, incoherent, and that incoherence is felt by those around you. But when you shift into alpha or theta, your field becomes coherent, harmonized, aligned, and coherence is magnetic. It brings clarity, attracts solutions, calms the nervous system, yours and everyone else's. This is why some people walk into a room and change the energy immediately, without saying a word. It's not charisma, it's frequency. What you think literally changes your field. Your beliefs generate waves, your emotions amplify them, and those waves interact with everything. The people near you, the spaces you live in, even the opportunities that come your way. The HeartMath Institute has shown that coherent brain and heart waves, especially when generated through gratitude, compassion, or focused intention, can synchronize not only your inner systems, but influence the rhythms of others. Thought is vibration, intention is frequency with direction, and every moment you are either aligning your field or distorting it. You are either broadcasting fear or broadcasting trust, worry or clarity, lack or expansion. And it begins not with what happens around you, but what's happening within you. So the next time a thought rises, pause. Don't just analyze it. Feel its frequency, because it's not just shaping your mood, it's shaping your field. And in that field, reality is listening. The brain may think, but it's the heart that speaks the loudest. For centuries, the heart was seen only as a muscle, a pump that moved blood, a vital but mechanical part of the body. But ancient cultures always believed it was more. The Egyptians preserved the heart in their sacred rituals, believing it held the soul. The Chinese linked it to consciousness itself, and across spiritual traditions, the heart was seen as the seat of intuition, of wisdom, of connection. Now, modern science is catching up, and the findings are nothing short of extraordinary. researchers at the HeartMath Institute, a pioneering organization in the study of heart-brain coherence, have discovered that the heart generates the strongest electromagnetic field in the human body, stronger than the brain, over 5,000 times stronger in fact. And unlike the brain's electrical activity, which stays mostly confined to the skull, the heart's field radiates outward several feet beyond the body, which means your emotional state is not private, it's broadcasted. Every feeling, love, fear, gratitude, anxiety, has a measurable frequency, and those frequencies ripple outward, shaping not only your biology, but the space around you. When the heart is in a state of stress, beating irregularly, pulsing with tension, its electromagnetic field becomes jagged, erratic. This is what HeartMath calls incoherence. Incoherence doesn't just feel bad, it creates internal dissonance. It disrupts communication between the heart and brain, impairs decision-making, weakens immunity, and sends chaotic signals into your environment. But when the heart enters a state of calm, gratitude, or compassion, something else happens. The rhythm of the heartbeat becomes smooth, synchronized, wave-like. This is coherence, a state where the heart, brain, and nervous system are in harmony. And coherence is not just inner peace, it's energetic power. It creates a field that is stable, magnetic, and clear, a frequency that others can feel, even if they don't understand why. Have you ever stood next to someone and felt instantly safe? Or walked into a room and sensed tension without a word being spoken? That's not intuition. That's frequency detection. That's the electromagnetic language of the heart. The heart sends signals to the brain, not the other way around. In fact, over 90% of the communication between the heart and the brain flows upward, from body to mind. And when that signal is coherent, the mind quiets. You think more clearly. You feel more connected. You become more aligned. Practices like deep breathing, gratitude journaling, or even pausing to feel appreciation. These aren't just feel-good habits. They are frequency recalibrations. They shift you from chaos to coherence, from confusion to clarity. The HeartMath Institute has measured this effect not just in individuals, but in groups. When a group of people enters a coherent state together, through synchronized breathing, intention, or meditation, their fields align. They literally create a collective frequency, a shared vibration. And that collective field has the power to influence larger systems, from families to communities, even to the planet itself. So while your thoughts may shape your perception, it is your heart that powers the field. And when you live from that field, when you anchor yourself in coherence, you don't just change your mood, you change your reality and the realities of those around you. Reality isn't as fixed as it seems. We grow up believing that the world exists out there, separate from us, unchanging, objective, solid. But quantum physics tells a different story, a stranger story, and a far more powerful one. At the heart of this mystery is a single, elegant experiment, the double-slit experiment. In this test, particles, tiny bits of matter like electrons, are fired at a screen through two slits. When no one observes them, they behave like waves, creating an interference pattern on the back wall. The pattern shows that each particle goes through both slits at once, like a ripple moving through water. But the moment the experiment is observed, when scientists place a detector to see which slit the particle passes through, everything changes. The wave collapses, and the particle acts as if it only went through one slit. No more interference, no more wave, just a single point. This is known as wave function collapse. The moment energy becomes matter. The conclusion is almost impossible to grasp at first, but it has been repeated in labs again and again, until it became undeniable. The very act of observation changes reality. Before being measured, the particle exists in a cloud of possibilities, a probability wave. But when observed, it chooses a form. Energy collapses into matter, and the observer becomes the creator. Let that sink in, because if observation affects particles at the quantum level, then your attention, your focus, your intention may be far more powerful than you think. You are not simply watching reality unfold. You are participating in its creation. The quantum field is not made of particles. It's made of potential, a vast sea of infinite possibilities. And your focus determines which potential becomes actual. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who bridges neuroscience with quantum physics, puts it this way: where you place your attention is where you place your energy. And energy, as we've seen, is vibration. It is frequency. Your thoughts emit waves, your emotions give them power, and your attention directs the signal. This is why practices like visualization, meditation, and mindful intention are not just psychological tools. They are vibrational technologies. They work with the quantum field. Every time you focus on fear, you collapse reality into more fear. Every time you focus on possibility, you collapse reality into expansion. You are a node of consciousness inside a vast, responsive universe, not separate from it, but entangled with it. The observer and the observed are one. This changes everything. It means your reality is not something that just happens to you. It is something that is shaped by you, by what you expect, by what you believe, by what you focus on, and by the frequency you hold in your body every single moment. So the next time you feel stuck, ask yourself not what is happening to me, but instead, what am I observing into existence? Because in this quantum field of infinite potential, your attention is the paintbrush and your vibration is the color. What you choose to focus on becomes your reality. Your brain is not fixed. It's not a hardwired machine, programmed once and locked in forever. It's alive, adaptive, shaped by every thought, every experience, and every emotion you allow to flow through it. This is the foundation of modern neuroscience, the principle of neuroplasticity. Your brain changes, and it changes based on what you feel, what you repeat, and what you believe. Neurons that fire together, wire together. This simple truth explains why habits are hard to break, why trauma leaves imprints, and why transformation is entirely possible if you know how to change the signal. Because beneath the chemistry, beneath the structure, is frequency. Emotion is energy in motion. And when emotion is repeated, it becomes a pattern, a vibration, a loop. That loop becomes a program. And over time, that program becomes an identity. Think of your brain as a vibrational receiver. Every thought and feeling sends a signal, and your brain adapts to that signal by strengthening certain neural pathways. If you constantly think in stress, worry, or fear, your brain wires itself to survive. It becomes hyper-alert, defensive, addicted to cortisol and adrenaline, and that becomes your normal. But normal is just a reflection of repeated vibration. Not truth, not destiny, just habit. And habits can be changed. The beauty of neuroplasticity is that the brain doesn't care why you're feeling something. It just listens. Gratitude, compassion, joy. If felt consistently, even for short periods, create entirely new neural connections. These connections become new defaults, new emotional homes, new frequencies. This is why mindfulness, breathwork, and meditation are so powerful. They don't just calm the nervous system, they change the energetic signal your brain is responding to. In other words, change your energy and your identity follows. Dr. Joe Dispenza, who has worked with thousands of people using brain scans and heart coherence tools, has shown that elevated emotional states, when combined with clear intention, cause the brain and body to shift. New genes are activated, new circuits are fired, and people begin to heal, not just mentally, but physically. This isn't magic, it's biology, responding to vibration. What's most fascinating is that the subconscious mind, the part of us that runs about 95% of our behavior, doesn't speak in words. It speaks in patterns, images, emotions, repetition, and all of those are frequencies. So if you've been stuck in loops, repeating the same thought, the same emotion, the same outcome, it's not because you're broken. It's because your nervous system is tuned to an old frequency, a signal that's been looping for years. But you can tune again, with awareness, with practice, with intention, and most importantly, with vibration. Because every time you choose a higher emotion, you're sending a new signal. And when you send that signal enough times, your brain rewires, your identity shifts, your perception expands, and the person you thought you were begins to dissolve, replaced by someone new, someone aligned, someone coherent, because who you are is simply the vibration you've repeated most, and who you become is the frequency you choose next. Manifestation is not about wishing. It's not about vision boards or repeating affirmations until the universe gives you what you want. At its core, manifestation is physics. It's vibration. The law of attraction, the idea that like attracts like, is rooted in something deeper, more foundational. It is a branch of the law of vibration. Because before something can be attracted, it must be emitted. And what you emit is not your words. It's not even your conscious thoughts. It's your frequency, the invisible signal that radiates from you every moment of your life. Your frequency is not what you think you believe. It's what you actually feel, deep down, in your body, in your nervous system. This is why two people can say the exact same affirmation and get completely different results, because the words are identical, but the signal is not. One is speaking from alignment, the other from doubt. And the universe doesn't respond to language, it responds to vibration. This is why emotion is the key to manifestation, not because it's mystical, but because it's magnetic. Emotions carry charge, joy, gratitude, compassion. These emotions expand your field. They create coherence, fear, shame, resentment. These contract your field. They create distortion. And whatever frequency your emotional body holds, that's the signal you're broadcasting. And that signal is what draws your reality to you. Not what you want, but what you are. You don't attract what you wish for. You attract what you embody. The law of vibration doesn't care about your goals. It reflects your current state. It mirrors your energy. Just like a tuning fork resonates with the vibration that matches it, you will pull into your life whatever matches the dominant signal you emit. This is why people often feel stuck. They try to manifest abundance while vibrating in lack. They try to manifest love while vibrating in fear of rejection. they try to manifest peace while vibrating in control or overwhelm, and they wonder why it doesn't come. It's not because the universe is withholding, it's because the signal is mixed. Clarity creates attraction, emotion gives it power, and repetition locks it into form. The heart is the transmitter, the mind is the tuner, and together they create your vibrational signature. This is why the most powerful way to manifest is not to focus on the outcome, but on the state. Ask yourself, who would I be if I already had this? What would I feel if it were already done? What energy would I live in if the life I desire was already mine? Because when you begin to feel it, not as a future hope, but as a present truth, the universe has no choice but to respond. It's not magic, it's resonance. And resonance is law. So the next time you set an intention, don't just think it, feel it, breathe it, become it, because that's the real secret. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are. Not all emotions are created equal. Some expand you, others contract you. Some lift you into clarity, presence, and peace. Others pull you into confusion, heaviness, and disconnection. And whether we realize it or not, we are always vibrating somewhere on that scale. Dr. David R. Hawkins, a psychiatrist and spiritual teacher, dedicated his life to understanding the relationship between human consciousness and vibration. Through years of research, clinical work, and spiritual exploration, he created what is now called the map of consciousness, a scale that measures emotional and energetic frequency, from the lowest vibrations of shame and guilt to the highest vibrations of love, joy, and enlightenment. Each state, each emotion, emits a specific frequency, and that frequency directly affects how you perceive the world around you. At the bottom of the scale is shame. Shame vibrates at just 20 hertz. It is the energy of collapse, of unworthiness, a state where life feels heavy, meaningless, and isolating. Just above it is guilt, vibrating at 30, still low, still dense, still anchored in regret, self-punishment, and pain. As you rise up the scale, you move into fear, grief, anger, and eventually, courage. And courage is the turning point, the threshold. It's where you move from survival into expansion, from reaction into conscious creation. Above courage, the vibration begins to lift. You enter states like willingness, acceptance, and reason. These are not just mental ideas. They are measurable energy fields, fields that influence your biology, your choices, and your experience of reality. And then there's love. Love vibrates at 500, not romantic love, not attachment, but unconditional love, the frequency of the open heart, the frequency of deep compassion, connection, and unity. From love, you rise into joy, peace, and finally enlightenment, the rarest and most powerful vibration of all. Hawkins discovered that each step up this scale doesn't just feel different, it is different. It changes your immune system, your brain chemistry, your electromagnetic field, and most importantly, it changes your perception. Because your frequency is not just what you feel, it's how you see. A person vibrating in fear sees danger everywhere. A person vibrating in love sees beauty, even in the unknown. Same world, different frequency, completely different reality. This is why two people can live the same moment and have entirely different experiences. It's not the event, it's the vibration you bring to it. Hawkins also noted that just one person vibrating at a high frequency can counterbalance thousands of people in lower states. because higher vibrations are exponentially more powerful. Love overrides fear, clarity overrides confusion, coherence overrides chaos. And when you choose to raise your frequency, not by force, but by practice, you don't just change your life, you elevate the field around you. So ask yourself, where am I vibrating right now? What emotion am I feeding? And what frequency do I want to live in? Not someday, but today. Because your vibration is your lens. Change it, and the entire world looks different. Everything around you is energy. Every object, every sound, every person, every space. And just like people, energy carries a tone, a frequency, a vibration. Some of it uplifts you, expands you, clears your mind, opens your heart. Other energy does the opposite. It weighs you down, drains your focus, contracts your body. We've all felt it. You walk into a room where two people have just argued, and without a word, you feel the tension. You meet someone for the first time and instantly feel safe or uneasy. You visit a place in nature and something inside you calms, aligns, breathes again. This isn't intuition in the mystical sense. It's vibration recognition. Because you're not just thinking your way through the world, you're feeling it. Your nervous system is wired to detect coherence. Your body knows when energy is high, flowing, and alive, and when it's low, stagnant, or dense. Let's start with food. Living foods, raw fruits, vegetables, fresh herbs, clean water, all carry high vibrational frequencies. They haven't been overprocessed. They haven't been stripped of their life force. When you eat them, your body recognizes that signal. It vibrates higher. It regenerates. Processed food, on the other hand, food packed with chemicals, preservatives, or made with low intention, carries little to no vibrational energy. It may fill the stomach, but it dulls the system. You can feel the difference, not just in your body, but in your mind. Next, look at your environment. Clutter, mess, stagnant air, artificial lighting. These aren't just visual details. They create a frequency, and your body responds to that frequency, consciously or not. A messy space can reflect and reinforce a scattered mind. A clean, intentional space invites clarity, stillness, presence. Even music carries frequency. Certain tones uplift the spirit, like 4-3-2 Hertz, known for creating inner harmony. Others agitate, overstimulate, or suppress. And then, there are people. Every human being radiates a vibrational field. Some people feel like warmth. They don't even have to speak. Just being near them feels safe, honest, open. Others might feel sharp, closed, heavy. It doesn't mean they're bad people. It just means their energy is in a lower state, and your body picks up on that. You are a sensory instrument, and if you're not paying attention to energy first, you may misread the world entirely. That's why the phrase is true. Your vibe introduces you before you speak, because your vibration is your presence. It's the unspoken message you carry into every moment. The way you breathe, the way you move, the way you feel about yourself when no one is watching. So how do you shift your energy? You start by becoming aware. Ask yourself, what am I allowing into my field today? What am I consuming? Physically, emotionally, digitally? What spaces am I spending time in? And perhaps most importantly, what am I emitting? Because you're not just reacting to energy, you're generating it. And when you choose to protect your energy, elevate your space, and move from a place of clarity and love, You don't just feel better, you become magnetic. And that's not about forcing positivity. It's about choosing coherence, choosing alignment, and choosing to live as if everything is energy first, because it is. Resonance is one of the most powerful and overlooked forces in the universe. It's the reason why some people seem to attract opportunities effortlessly, while others stay stuck in cycles that feel impossible to break. It's not about luck, it's about frequency. And more specifically, it's about what your frequency is resonating with. In physics, resonance occurs when one object vibrating at a certain frequency causes another object to begin vibrating at the same frequency. It's how tuning forks work. Strike one fork and place it near another. The second will begin to vibrate too, without being touched. It responds because the frequency matches. This is not a metaphor, it's law, the law of resonance. And it applies not just to metal forks or sound waves, but to you. Because you're not just a physical body, you're a vibrational field, a transmitter, and a receiver. You're always sending out energy through your emotions, your thoughts, your body language, your breath. And at the same time, you're always tuning into the frequencies around you. Your relationships, your circumstances, your health, your level of abundance, they are all, in some way, resonating with your internal state. This is why you can't fake energy. You might smile, you might say the right words, but if the signal underneath is fear, insecurity, or lack, that's the frequency you're broadcasting. And the universe, much like a field of tuning forks, responds not to the mask, but to the vibration beneath it. This is why two people can walk into the same opportunity and have completely different outcomes, because one was in resonance and the other wasn't. Think of it like radio stations. If you want to hear 101.7 FM, but you're tuned to 94.3, no matter how much you want it, you won't receive it. The content is there, the broadcast is active, but you're not in alignment. The moment you shift the dial, even slightly, the frequency becomes clear. Reality works the same way. What you seek is already vibrating somewhere, but you won't experience it until your field matches it. And this is not about becoming someone new. It's about shedding the noise, the doubt, the self-sabotage, the static that keeps you out of tune. Because deep down, your natural state is already in resonance with clarity, joy, love, and expansion. You've just been taught to vibrate lower. So how do you raise your signal? You start by observing. Notice what you're in harmony with. What kind of people, patterns, and experiences you keep attracting. And then, without judgment, you shift. You breathe deeper. You clean up your thoughts. You feel the emotion of the version of you who's already there. You raise the signal, and the outcome shifts. Because resonance isn't personal, it's vibrational. And the universe isn't withholding from you. It's just waiting for you to match the frequency. Alignment is when everything inside you begins to move in the same direction. Your thoughts, your emotions, your actions. No resistance, no inner conflict, no pretending to be something you're not, just clarity. And when you enter that state, something begins to happen. Reality stops pushing back. Doors open, people show up, ideas drop in, synchronicities multiply. Not because you're hustling harder, but because you're aligned. Vibrational alignment isn't about forcing your way forward. It's about becoming a match to the life you say you want. And most people are out of sync. They think one thing, they feel another, and they act in a completely different way. They say they want peace, but their thoughts are chaotic, their body is tense, and their choices are rooted in fear. They say they want love, but their energy says, I don't trust. I don't believe I deserve it. That's not judgment, it's misalignment. And misalignment creates friction. Things don't flow, plans stall, effort increases, but results diminish because the signal is scattered. But when you align, when your inner world becomes coherent, the outer world begins to mirror that coherence. That's not magic, that's physics. You stop chasing and start attracting. Alignment doesn't mean you'll never face challenge. It doesn't mean life becomes perfect, but it does mean you stop creating unnecessary resistance. You stop swimming upstream. You stop fighting against yourself. When thought, feeling, and action harmonize, you become a clear channel, a signal the universe can read. And when the signal is clear, reality responds, flow begins. Not the kind of flow that comes and goes, but the deeper kind. The kind that comes from being in integrity with yourself, from acting on what you feel and feeling aligned with what you believe. This is why daily rituals matter, not because they check a box, but because they help you tune your frequency. Stillness helps you listen. Gratitude helps you remember. Movement helps you reset the signal. And every time you come back into alignment, you come back into power. Not the kind that controls, but the kind that magnetizes. You begin to attract people, ideas, and opportunities that match your new frequency. And it feels effortless. Not because life is doing all the work for you, but because you stopped working against yourself. This is the real art of manifestation. Not effort, not force, not obsession, but energetic alignment. And when you live from that place, life doesn't feel like a problem to solve. It feels like a current to ride. So ask yourself, are your thoughts aligned with your desires? Are your emotions aligned with your vision? Are your actions aligned with your truth? Because when they are, reality doesn't need to be chased. It comes to meet you. Raising your vibration isn't something mystical. It's not reserved for gurus, monks, or people living on mountaintops. It's practical, it's daily, it's personal, and it begins with a choice. Because just like your physical health, your vibration depends on what you feed it, how you move it, and whether you take time to tune it. Your vibration is your responsibility. You can't control every event in your life, but you can choose how you care for your energy. And when you shift your energy, you shift everything. The first and most powerful tool is breath. Your breath is your direct link to your nervous system. Shallow, fast breathing tells your body that you're under threat. It keeps you in survival mode, stuck in low vibration. But slow, conscious breathing, especially into the belly, activates the parasympathetic nervous system. It tells your body, I am safe. And from that state of safety, your frequency rises naturally. Even 1 minute of intentional breath work can reset your energy field. Next is gratitude. Gratitude is a vibrational superpower. When you shift your focus to what's already good, already working, already beautiful, your body responds instantly. Your heart field becomes more coherent. Your brain starts releasing dopamine and serotonin, and your energy begins to expand. This isn't just emotional, it's electromagnetic. The HeartMath Institute has shown that feelings of gratitude and appreciation directly increase heart-brain coherence. They raise your frequency, biologically and energetically. Then, there's water. Your body is over 70% water. And water is a conductor of vibration. When you're dehydrated, your energy slows. Your mental clarity drops. Your physical field becomes sluggish. Drinking clean, structured water, especially in the morning, helps re-energize your system and it's one of the simplest ways to raise your baseline vibration. Don't underestimate it. Now, step outside. Nature is the original frequency field. The Earth has its own measurable vibration, called the Schumann resonance. And when you walk barefoot on the ground, lie in the grass, or breathe deeply in a forest, you're not just relaxing, you're recalibrating. You're syncing your energy with something pure, something balanced. Nature clears static. It resets your nervous system. It lifts your frequency without effort. And then there's sleep. Sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. During deep sleep, your brain enters delta waves, the slowest, most healing frequencies. Your body regenerates, your subconscious reprocesses, and your vibrational field integrates everything you experienced. When you don't sleep well, it's harder to regulate emotion, harder to focus, harder to hold a high frequency. So protect your sleep like your life depends on it, because energetically, it does. And finally, silence. We live in a noisy world. Constant input, constant stimulation, constant distraction. But your vibration needs space, stillness, room to breathe. When you sit in silence, even just for a few minutes, you give your system a chance to come back into harmony. You let the noise settle and the truth rise. This is vibration hygiene. Not just doing things to feel better, but consciously choosing to support your energy, to tend to your field, to take responsibility for your frequency. Because the way you show up in the world begins with how you show up for yourself. So breathe, hydrate, feel, move, rest, listen, and remember. Your vibration is not something that just happens to you. It's something you create daily, intentionally, and with love. Meditation is not about escaping. It's not about emptying the mind or floating into some distant realm. It's about tuning in, dropping beneath the surface noise, and accessing the frequency that's always been there, the deeper truth, the higher signal, the source. Because beneath all your thoughts, beneath the planning, the judgment, the mental loops, there is stillness. And that stillness isn't empty, it's full of information. When you meditate, you're not just relaxing, you're aligning. You're bringing your mind, your body, and your energy field into harmony. And that harmony changes your frequency. Modern neuroscience has revealed what ancient sages always knew, that meditation shifts your brain waves. Most of us live in beta, the brainwave of waking life, fast, focused, often stressed. But as you meditate, your brain slows down. You enter alpha, a state of calm alertness where the mind begins to soften. And if you go deeper, you enter theta, the state of intuition, insight, and subconscious access. Theta is where the real magic happens. It's the state your brain naturally enters just before sleep and just as you're waking up. That in-between space, where the veil is thinner, where the conscious mind loosens its grip, and the deeper layers of your being rise to the surface. In theta, your brain vibrates at around 4 to 8 hertz, and in that frequency, your body enters a healing state. Your nervous system resets. Your emotional body stabilizes. But something else happens too. You become receptive. Ideas appear without force. Visions rise without effort. Answers arrive without thinking. This is why so many breakthroughs, insights, and creative downloads come during meditation, or in those quiet moments between sleep and wake. Because you're tuned in, you're not reaching outward, you're listening inward, and what you hear is truth. Some meditation styles focus on the breath. Others use mantras, visualization, or body scans. Some use sound, binaural beats, or solfeggio frequencies to help entrain the brain into a deeper state. This is called brainwave entrainment, using external rhythm to guide your internal rhythm. And it works. Just like two metronomes eventually sync, your brainwaves can be guided by sound, by intention, by stillness, because your mind is not separate from vibration. It is vibration. And when you give yourself the space to sit, to slow, to listen, your energy recalibrates. You release stress. You restore coherence. You reconnect with your core frequency, not the one shaped by fear or habit, the original one, the one that existed before the world told you who to be. This is why people who meditate regularly don't just feel calmer. They begin to live differently. They respond instead of react. They attract instead of chase. They intuit instead of overthink, because they've learned to hear the signal beneath the noise. And once you hear that signal, you realize something powerful. The source you've been searching for has always been inside you, waiting, quiet, clear, and ready to guide you back into alignment. Sound is not just something you hear. It's something you feel, something your body responds to. Even when you're not aware of it, it moves through you, not just around you. And when used with intention, sound becomes medicine. Long before modern instruments, ancient cultures used sound to heal. From Tibetan singing bowls to Gregorian chants, from Aboriginal didgeridoos to shamanic drumming, sound has always been a gateway, a way to reach the unseen, a way to shift the internal landscape. And now science is beginning to show us why it works. Every cell in your body responds to vibration. Because you are vibration, you are water, electricity, resonance, and sound, when delivered at specific frequencies, can realign what's out of tune. Let's start with the basics. Certain frequencies have been found to create specific effects in the body and mind. Take 432 Hz, for example. Often called the natural tuning, this frequency is said to resonate with the vibration of the earth. Music tuned to 432 Hz feels softer, deeper, more harmonious. Some researchers and musicians claim it promotes inner peace, reduces anxiety, and creates a sense of connectedness. Then there's 528 Hz, sometimes called the miracle tone. Studies have shown this frequency can repair DNA, reduce stress, and increase the production of serotonin in the brain. 528 Hz is associated with love, transformation, and cellular healing, and it's part of a larger system known as the solfeggio frequencies, a series of 6 ancient tones, rediscovered and brought back into spiritual and scientific awareness. Each one corresponds to a specific healing quality. 396 Hz to release guilt and fear, 417 Hz to facilitate change, 639 Hz to heal relationships, 741 Hz to awaken intuition, 852 Hz to return to spiritual order. These frequencies aren't just musical choices, they are tools. They are vibrational codes, unlocking something deep within you. And then there's cymatics, the visual science of vibration. Cymatics shows us what sound actually looks like. When frequencies are played through a metal plate covered in fine sand or water, the particles rearrange themselves into stunning geometric patterns. The higher the frequency, the more intricate the pattern. This proves something profound. Sound doesn't just move energy, it shapes matter. It organizes chaos into form. And if sound can shape sand, what do you think it does to the water in your body, to your cells, to your emotional state? This is why sound healing is becoming more than a trend. It's a return to something primal, something sacred, something that bypasses the mind and speaks directly to the nervous system. The next time you're overwhelmed, try this. Play 432 Hz or 528 Hz. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and feel. Let the sound move through you, not as background noise, but as frequency medicine. Because sound is not passive. It's active, it's intelligent, it's alive. And when you work with it intentionally, it doesn't just change how you feel, it changes what you are. It tunes you back to your original frequency, the one before the noise, before the programming, before the distortion, the one that knows how to heal, how to harmonize, how to return to wholeness. Words are not just symbols, they are vibrations. And every time you speak, you're sending those vibrations into the field, shaping not only how others experience you, but how reality responds to you. We often think of language as a tool for communication, but it's more than that. It's a tool for creation. From the beginning of time, words have been treated as sacred. In ancient texts, creation began with sound. In the beginning was the word. But the original term wasn't just word as we know it. It was logos, meaning divine order, vibration, intelligence made manifest through sound. The voice was seen as an instrument of power, a force that could heal or harm. And in many traditions, this idea wasn't metaphorical. It was energetic law. Your words are spells. Every sentence is a spell you cast on yourself and the world. That's why we call it spelling. What you declare becomes your directive, and the most powerful words you can ever speak. Begin with two simple ones. I am. I am is not just a phrase. It's a frequency code. It tells the universe how to identify you. It tells your subconscious mind what to believe. And it becomes the blueprint for your vibration. When you say, I am tired, your energy follows. When you say, I am unworthy, your vibration lowers to match. When you say, I am powerful, even if you don't fully believe it yet, your body starts to shift. Your frequency starts to rise. This is why mantras are so effective. A mantra isn't magic because of the words alone. It's magic because of repetition, intention, vibration. Mantras tune your mind into alignment. They override mental noise and emotional static. They replace low-frequency thought loops with higher coherent signals. And the more you repeat them, the more they become part of your energy field. Even science is starting to catch up. Studies in neuroplasticity show that the words you use daily influence the wiring of your brain. Words can either reinforce fear or reprogram you for resilience. They can either feed your anxiety or anchor your peace. And it's not just the words you say out loud. It's the ones you whisper to yourself in your mind. The ones that run on repeat in the background. These internal phrases are like mantras too. But if they go unchecked, I'm not enough. I always mess up. Nothing ever works out. They become self-fulfilling frequencies. That's why conscious speech is so important. Speaking with awareness, with alignment, with presence. You don't need to be perfect, but you do need to be intentional. Because every word is an energetic choice. Every I am is a declaration. And every declaration shifts your field. So the next time you speak, to yourself or to others, pause. Feel the energy of the words before they leave your lips. Ask yourself, does this raise my vibration or lower it? Does this bring me closer to alignment? Or reinforce an old pattern? Because your voice is not just your sound. It is your signature. It is your power. And when you speak from alignment, when your words match your truth, your vibration becomes undeniable, and the universe listens. Your body is not just a vessel, it's an instrument, a living, breathing field of vibration. And everything you put into it, everything you do with it, either tunes that instrument or distorts it. Your physical state is not separate from your energetic state. It's a mirror. It reflects your choices, your habits, your awareness, and perhaps more than anything else, it reflects how you care for the frequency of your body. Let's begin with food. Food is information. It's not just calories. It's not just fuel. It's vibration. Every bite you take carries an energetic imprint. Living foods, fruits, vegetables, herbs, seeds, water are high-frequency substances. They come from the earth, nourished by the sun, untouched by heavy processing. They carry life force. And when you consume them, they don't just feed your cells. They elevate your field. Your vibration rises. Clarity increases. The body begins to repair, recalibrate, and realign. But processed foods, the ones filled with artificial additives, preservatives, chemical colors, and synthetic flavors, these are low vibration substances. They may fill the stomach, but they dull the signal. They congest the energy system. They trigger inflammation, emotional fog, and energetic stagnation. This isn't about guilt, it's about awareness. Because the more tuned in you become, the more sensitive you are to what strengthens your frequency and what drains it. And then there's movement. Movement is not just exercise, it's vibrational stimulation. When you move your body, whether through walking, stretching, dancing, yoga, or conscious breath work, you're generating energy. You're circulating life force. You're breaking up stagnation. Movement activates the lymphatic system, clears emotional residue, and helps reset the nervous system. This is why ancient cultures didn't separate movement from spirituality. Qigong, Tai Chi, temple dances, sun salutations. They understood that the body was a conduit, and that energy flows best when the body moves with awareness. Stillness is important, but too much stillness, especially when paired with a poor diet, shallow breathing, and mental stress, creates vibrational decay. So move, not just to burn calories, but to awaken your instrument, to shake off old patterns, to shift your state. Because your body is the tuning fork for your life. When it's in tune, you feel grounded and energized. When it's out of tune, everything feels heavier than it should. And tuning it doesn't require perfection. It requires presence. Drink water that is clean, charged, and alive. Eat foods that feel like nature, not factories. Move in ways that bring you joy, not judgment. Stretch, breathe, dance, walk. Let your body remind you of its rhythm. Let it guide you back into harmony, because your body is not separate from your vibration. It is your vibration made visible, and the more you honor it, the more your entire field begins to sing, clearer, brighter, louder, until your presence becomes music, and your life becomes a song. There's a part of you that already knows. It doesn't doubt. It doesn't overthink. It doesn't get caught in the noise. It simply knows. This part of you has been called many names: the soul, the inner guide, the true self. But in the language of vibration, it is your higher self. And your higher self vibrates at a different frequency, beyond fear, beyond reaction, beyond ego. It exists in clarity, in presence, in truth. When people speak of spiritual awakening, they often imagine a moment of enlightenment, a flash of insight, a cosmic experience. But more often, it's a subtle shift, a quiet moment of alignment, a sudden knowing, a feeling that rises without explanation, a whisper that cuts through the noise and says, "Go this way." That's not wishful thinking. That's frequency. That's the vibration of your higher self, finally reaching you. You felt it before, a moment where everything just clicked, a decision you didn't understand logically but knew was right, a chance encounter that seemed random but changed everything. We call these moments synchronicities, but they're not accidents, they're reflections. Signs that your inner frequency is syncing with something greater. Because the higher self doesn't speak in words, it speaks in energy, in sensations, in images, in patterns. And when you slow down, when you soften, when you finally pause long enough to listen, you begin to hear it, you begin to receive. These are what some call downloads, spontaneous insights, creative bursts, or guidance that seems to come from nowhere. But it's not nowhere. It's coming from the field, the quantum field, the unified field of consciousness that your higher self is always connected to, not limited by time, not trapped in identity, not distracted by stories, just present, just aware, just awake. Stillness is the doorway, but stillness isn't empty. It's full of answers, full of frequency, and the more you make space for it, the more you begin to attune to that higher frequency, the one that doesn't chase, but attracts, the one that doesn't react, but responds, the one that doesn't ask for proof, because it already trusts. The higher self isn't something you need to become. It's something you return to. It's always been there, watching, waiting, guiding. Every time you breathe deeply, every time you step into presence, every time you release what isn't yours, you raise your frequency, and the signal becomes clearer. You begin to feel guided, not lost, certain, not confused, connected, not separate. This is the essence of spiritual awakening. Not the search for something outside of you, but the remembering of what has always lived within. So be still, be open, be willing to receive, because your higher self is not far away. It's simply vibrating. One layer above your doubt, one breath beneath the noise, and it's been waiting for you to finally tune in. You are not alone, not in the spiritual sense, not in the physical sense, not even in the energetic sense, because the deeper truth is that separation is an illusion. What appears to be separate, your body, your thoughts, your life, is actually woven into a vast invisible web, a field, a unified field of energy and consciousness that connects all living things. You are not in the universe. You are the universe, expressing itself through one unique frequency. Science is beginning to echo what mystics have whispered for thousands of years, that beneath the surface of matter, beneath the form and the formlessness, everything is connected. One of the clearest voices to explore this idea is biologist Rupert Sheldrake. He proposed the concept of morphic resonance, a theory that patterns of behavior, memory, and form are not stored in individual brains, but in a collective field, a field that connects all members of a species, a field that stores habits, ideas, emotions, and allows them to spread without physical contact. Like when a group of monkeys on one island learns a new behavior, and suddenly monkeys on another island begin to do the same. No contact, no training, just transmission, vibration. Or think of the holographic universe theory, the idea that every part of the universe contains the whole, that the same patterns, structures, and codes found in galaxies are also found in atoms, that the cosmos is not a linear space, but a multi-dimensional frequency field, a hologram, where you are not just a small piece of the whole, you are a fractal of it. And this changes everything, because if the universe is one interconnected field, then your vibration doesn't just stay within you, it ripples outward, into the people around you, into your home, into the collective. Your energy becomes part of the shared signal that shapes the frequency of humanity. When you heal, you don't just heal yourself, you shift the field. When you choose peace over panic, love over judgment, truth over fear, you contribute to the elevation of everything, even in silence, even in solitude. Your presence matters, your coherence matters, because energy is never isolated. It travels, it resonates, it multiplies. This is why environments feel different, why cities carry a buzz, why sacred spaces feel still, calm, holy. It's not architecture, it's accumulated frequency, and you are either adding to that or dissolving into it. So what are you putting into the field? What are you amplifying with your attention? What emotion are you contributing with your thoughts, your voice, your breath? Because your vibration doesn't end at your skin. It extends outward like a wave. It touches everything. And when enough of us begin to live in resonance, in love, in clarity, in consciousness, the entire field begins to shift, not by force, but by frequency. You are not separate from the cosmos. You are the cosmos, feeling itself, remembering itself, rising back into coherence, one heartbeat at a time. Something is shifting, you can feel it, in the pace of the world, in the collective emotions, in the rising pressure, and the quiet awakening underneath it all. We're not just living through change, we're vibrating through it. The planet itself is in a state of transition, and so are we. Global consciousness isn't just a poetic idea, it's measurable, it's energetic, and it responds to us. For decades, researchers and spiritual thinkers have pointed to the idea that human consciousness is not confined to the individual brain. It exists in a shared field, a collective vibrational cloud that holds the thoughts, emotions, and intentions of humanity. When fear spikes globally, we feel it, even if we're far from the event, even if we don't know the details. It hits the field, and it ripples. The Global Consciousness Project, based at Princeton University, set out to test this theory. Using a worldwide network of random number generators, they monitored the subtle fluctuations in consciousness across the globe. During moments of collective emotion, September 11th, global meditations, natural disasters, the data shifted, randomness dropped, patterns emerged, the field responded, something invisible became visible, and it proved what the mystics have always said, that consciousness is not isolated, it's shared, it's planetary, and your vibration matters more than you think, because just as individual cells form a body, individual people form the energy body of Earth. When enough people begin to raise their frequency through healing, through intention, through love, it affects the whole. It changes the baseline, not through protest, not through noise, but through resonance. This is the real revolution, not external, but internal, not through force, but through frequency. Every time you choose stillness over reactivity, Every time you forgive instead of resent, every time you align instead of escape, you lift the signal. You contribute to coherence. You become a tuning fork for those around you, silently inviting them into a higher state. And when enough of us do that, the planet responds. Schumann resonance, the natural frequency of the Earth, has been monitored for decades, and recently, strange surges have been recorded. Massive spikes in amplitude. Some believe it's connected to the rise in human awakening, to the increasing pressure people feel, the breakdown of old systems, the emergence of new patterns. Whether science confirms it or not, energetically, it's undeniable. We are in a vibrational shift, and that shift starts with the individual, with you. You cannot change the world by yelling at it, but you can shift the world by embodying something different, something truer, something higher, something real. The energy of the planet is not out there. It's in here, in your nervous system, in your breath, in your choices. You are the field. And every time you choose love over fear, clarity over chaos, intention over habit, you become a signal. And the more of us who tune in, the more the earth begins to sing a different song. A song of healing, of remembrance, of return ... Love is not just an emotion. It's not just a feeling that comes and goes depending on circumstance. It's a frequency, a measurable, tangible energy that radiates from the heart and restructures everything it touches. When you're in the presence of true love, not romantic infatuation, not fleeting desire, but deep, unconditional love, you can feel it. Time slows. The air becomes still. Something opens inside of you, even if you don't have the words to explain it. That's not imagination. That's resonance. Love carries the highest measurable frequency on the emotional scale. According to the work of Dr. David Hawkins, love vibrates at 500 hertz and above. It's expansive. It's coherent. It brings your entire system, heart, brain, body, into harmony. And more than that, it brings you back into alignment with Source, because love is the language of the universe, not as sentiment, but as structure, the force that holds atoms together, the pulse behind life itself, the original code that underlies creation. When you feel love, true, open-hearted love, you're not just experiencing something pleasant. You're syncing with the core frequency of existence. And when that happens, nothing can stay in dissonance. Fear dissolves, tension softens, judgment falls away. Not because you forced it, but because the vibration of love is too powerful, too pure, for low frequency states to hold. This is why love heals, not just emotionally, energetically. Love brings coherence to the body. The HeartMath Institute has shown that feelings of appreciation and care dramatically increase heart rate variability, a sign of a healthy, adaptive nervous system. When your heart is in a state of love, it sends signals to the brain that regulate mood, reduce stress hormones, and create a field of balance around you. That field affects others. People can feel it. Without words, without explanation. Because love, in its purest form, is silent. It doesn't have to convince. It simply radiates. This is why the most powerful people in the world are often the softest, not weak, but open, present, anchored. They're not trying to win. They're trying to connect. And in that connection, their presence shifts reality. Because love isn't passive. It's a frequency of creation. When you hold love in your body, not just for others, but for yourself, for life itself, you become a transmitter. You start to attract people, moments, and experiences that match that energy. Not because you're lucky, but because you're aligned. Love is not something you earn, it's something you remember. And when you return to it, when you live in it, you come back into harmony with your own divine blueprint. Everything becomes lighter, brighter, clearer. So if you're ever unsure of your next move, come back to love. If you're lost in fear, in doubt, in confusion, come back to love. Breathe it, feel it, choose it, because when you vibrate love, you don't have to fight the darkness, you become the light. Spiritual awakening is not always gentle. It doesn't always come wrapped in bliss or peace or sudden clarity. Sometimes it begins with discomfort, with a quiet unraveling, with everything that once felt safe suddenly feeling false. You're not being broken, you're being initiated, because to raise your vibration is to leave behind everything that cannot rise with you. Old beliefs, old identities, old emotional patterns that were never yours to carry. This process has been described in many ways: ascension, awakening, transformation. But underneath all the names, it is the same movement, the same shift in frequency. You begin vibrating at a new level, and your reality starts to reorganize, not from outside pressure, from within. This is why so many people experience what are now called ascension symptoms. Your body begins to recalibrate. You may feel intense waves of emotion as old energies rise to be released. You may feel fatigue as your nervous system adjusts to higher frequencies. You may notice sensitivities to food, to noise, to people, to environments that no longer feel aligned. Even sleep patterns shift. Dreams become vivid, intuition sharpens, and the things you used to tolerate suddenly feel impossible to endure. That's not regression, it's evolution. Your system is clearing static, and you're starting to access what mystics have called the light body, an energetic version of your physical self, vibrating at a higher, more refined frequency. The light body isn't something you create, it's something you activate. It's always been there, just beneath the surface of your conditioning, waiting, dormant, quiet, until now. Raising your vibration is not just about feeling better. It's about awakening to who you've always been. It's the path of spiritual evolution. A ladder made not of steps, but of frequency. Each time you move from fear to trust, from judgment to compassion, from resistance to surrender, you climb. You don't have to understand it all. You just have to allow it. The body will feel different. The mind will fight it at first. The ego will cling to the old, but the soul knows. And once you begin this process, there's no going back, only forward, only upward, from density to light, from separation to oneness. This is the true initiation, not into a religion or a belief system, but into a new state of being, one where your vibration becomes your compass, where love becomes your language, where presence becomes your power, and every challenge, every shadow, every breakdown becomes part of the awakening, a shedding of what you are not, so you can remember what you are. You are not here to survive the world. You are here to raise it. And every time you choose to raise yourself, to vibrate a little higher, to love a little deeper, to see a little clearer, you become a living bridge between fear and light, between the old earth and the new. There's a reason the world feels noisy, a reason you're constantly pulled in 1,000 directions, a reason it's hard to sit still, to feel present, to connect with what's real. because the system wasn't built to raise your vibration. It was designed to keep it low. The modern world thrives on distraction, on overstimulation, on fear, urgency, and the constant hunger for more. And every time you scroll endlessly, consume unconsciously, react without awareness, your frequency drops, not because you're weak, but because the environment was programmed to pull you down, to keep you tired, to keep you chasing, to keep you disconnected from your inner power. This isn't a conspiracy, it's conditioning. Consumerism tells you you're not enough unless you buy more, do more, look better, work harder. Media floods your system with fear, division, chaos, because fear sells. Addiction is normalized. Sugar, dopamine hits, toxic content, endless scrolling, anything to keep you numb, anything to keep you distracted from your own frequency. Because if you were ever to pause long enough, to breathe deeply, to feel your body, to tune in to your natural rhythm, you'd remember that peace is your baseline, that clarity is your nature. That power doesn't come from what you consume. It comes from what you choose. The system teaches you to outsource your reality, to look outside for answers, to wait for permission. But you don't need permission to wake up. You just need to unplug, to reclaim your focus, to take back your frequency. Because your power, real, energetic, world-shifting power, is hidden in your vibration. And the lower it stays, the easier you are to control. The harder it becomes to manifest, to feel your intuition, to activate your higher self. This is why every spiritual tradition has some version of detachment, not to escape the world, but to see through it, to stop letting it define your value, to stop letting it dictate your energy. You can't change the system from inside its trance. You have to wake up. And awakening starts with awareness. Notice what drains you, what numbs you, what lowers your frequency without you realizing it. Is it the constant noise, the endless scrolling, the foods that deaden your body, the content that keeps you small, angry, reactive? Begin there, not with blame, with clarity. Because clarity is power. And once you see how the matrix operates, how it feeds on your attention, your emotion, your vibration, you can stop feeding it. You can begin to rise, quietly, intentionally, powerfully, not as rebellion, but as remembrance. You were never meant to be a product. You were meant to be a presence, a conscious creator, a living frequency of light. And the moment you reclaim your energy, the system begins to lose its hold, not because you fought it, but because you stopped resonating with it. And that's how the real revolution begins, from within. Not everything that pulls your attention deserves your energy. Not every connection is aligned. And not every feeling you carry is yours, because energy is exchanged constantly. Through conversation, through thought, through emotional entanglement, and over time, you start to collect frequencies that don't belong to you, beliefs that never came from your own truth, fears passed down from family, media, culture, emotional cords tied to people, places, or experiences that are no longer part of your path. This is the trap, not just being in a low frequency, but not knowing how to tell what's yours and what's not. Escaping that trap doesn't begin with doing more. It begins with remembering your power, with recognizing that you have a right and a responsibility to protect your field, to reclaim your energy, to become energetically sovereign. Energetic sovereignty means knowing where your frequency begins and where the world ends. It means listening deeply, trusting your body's intelligence, feeling the signals when something drains you, contracts you, dims your light, and honoring that signal, not with fear, but with discernment. Discernment is a higher frequency than judgment. It doesn't attack, it observes, it notices the mismatch, and it makes clear, aligned choices. This is how you cut energetic cords, not always with ritual or ceremony, though those can help, but with clarity, with boundaries, with the courage to say, this no longer matches my vibration. Some cords are emotional, relationships you've outgrown, attachments you still feed, even though they exhaust you. Others are mental, looping thought patterns, beliefs that echo in your mind, but were never truly yours. And some are energetic, unconscious links to people, content, or environments that you never gave full consent to, but that still live in your field. Cutting cords doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you stop leaking. It means you stop giving your energy to things that don't give life back. This is how you begin to reclaim your power. By choosing where your attention goes. By choosing what you say yes to. By choosing which energies are allowed into your space. You become the guardian of your own field. And that changes everything. You don't wait for the world to give you peace. You generate it. You don't beg for clarity. You create it. Because you're no longer at the mercy of external vibration. You've returned to your own. And the more you anchor into that vibration, the real you, the clear you, the more sensitive you become to what aligns and what distorts. You begin to choose differently. Not out of fear, but out of frequency. This is how you escape the traps. You remember what it feels like to be fully in your body, fully in your heart, fully in your truth. And you stop letting the world define your signal. Because once you reclaim your energy, no one else can control it. No program, no distraction, no distortion, only you. And from that place, you don't just rise, you radiate. Have you ever wondered why we're taught everything, except how to master our own energy? Why we learn equations we never use, memorize facts we forget, but are never shown how to manage our thoughts, regulate our emotions, or raise our frequency? It's not an accident, it's by design. Because if people truly understood the power of vibration, if we were taught from a young age that our thoughts emit frequencies, that our emotions shape reality, that we are living transmitters of energy, the world would change overnight. We wouldn't be so easy to control. We wouldn't consume without thinking. We wouldn't stay stuck in cycles of fear, shame, and scarcity. We wouldn't hand our power over to systems that don't serve us. When people master vibration, they master reality. And nothing threatens the matrix more than a human being who remembers their own frequency. A person who realizes they don't have to wait for external permission to feel peace. That love is not something to chase. It's something to generate. That health isn't just physical. It's energetic. These aren't soft concepts. They're radical truths. Because when you raise your vibration, you raise your standard. When you raise your standard, you stop settling. And when you stop settling, the old systems start to crumble. Self-mastery doesn't just liberate the individual. It destabilizes everything built on keeping you disempowered. The modern education system in many places is not designed to awaken consciousness. It's designed to train compliance, to reward obedience, to normalize stress, to promote external validation over internal alignment. Children are rarely asked, what do you feel in your body? What thought is shaping your energy? What emotion are you holding? And is it even yours? Instead, they're taught to memorize, to test, to compare, to disconnect. Because disconnected people are easier to guide, easier to sell to, easier to scare. Knowledge that empowers has always been guarded. Mystery schools, sacred texts, hidden lineages. Not because the information is too dangerous, but because it's too freeing. If everyone knew that vibration is the foundation of reality, that frequency is more powerful than force, that coherence can change a room, a relationship, a life, the systems built on disempowerment would collapse. And deep down, they know it. That's why the ancient teachings were hidden, why the mystics spoke in code, why wisdom was whispered instead of shouted. Because truth threatens illusion, and energy exposes everything. But today, something is changing. The knowledge is rising again, not through institutions, but through individuals, people like you, people who are waking up, who are asking deeper questions, who are learning to trust their frequency over the noise. And once you see through the veil, you can't unsee it. You realize that the greatest revolution is remembering who you are. That true education isn't memorizing information, it's mastering energy. And that the reason they never taught you this is because once you learn it, you can no longer be controlled. You are not just reacting to reality, you are building it, not with your hands, but with your frequency. Every thought you think, every feeling you feel, every belief you hold is shaping the world around you. Not metaphorically, energetically. You are not just inside the universe is inside you, responding to your signal. And when you begin to understand that, truly understand it, everything changes. You realize that manifestation isn't a wish. It's not a trick. It's not about wanting harder or forcing outcomes. Manifestation begins with vibration, because vibration is the blueprint. It's the signal that tells the field what to form. And if the signal is scattered, the results are inconsistent. If the signal is clear, aligned, intentional, reality starts to rearrange itself around you, not instantly, not always predictably, but undeniably, because the field is always listening, and you are the architect. But instead of bricks and mortar, your materials are energy. Your tools are focus, emotion, intention, presence. You are both the transmitter and the receiver. What you send out returns. What you align with, you attract. And what you embody becomes your experience. This is not spiritual fluff. It's quantum mechanics. It's resonance. It's the truth mystics and scientists are finally beginning to agree on. You are surrounded by infinite possibilities. Every version of you that could ever exist already does, but you can only experience the version you're in resonance with. So if you want to shift your life, you don't need to force the outside world. You need to tune your inner world. You need to broadcast a different frequency. And the way you do that is by becoming conscious of the signals you send. Not just what you say, what you feel when you say it. Not just what you want, but what you believe about what you want. Your doubts are frequencies. Your fears are frequencies. Your certainty is a frequency too. And the more intentional you become with the vibration you hold, the more influence you gain over what shows up around you. This is not about control. It's about coherence. It's about living in such alignment that reality responds without resistance. You speak it, and it echoes. You feel it, and it materializes. You decide it, and it finds you. Because energy doesn't lie. You can't fake your field, but you can learn to shape it, to build it, to strengthen it. And in doing so, you become the architect of your own experience, not a victim of your circumstances, but a creator of your reality. So ask yourself, what am I broadcasting? What's the dominant frequency I live in? And is it in harmony with the future I'm calling in? Because when your vibration matches your vision, the world has no choice but to respond. Not someday, now, because the field is always listening. And you're always creating, whether you mean to or not. There comes a moment when you stop asking, what do I want to attract? And you start asking, who am I becoming? Because your destiny isn't something waiting out there in the distance. It's something you're tuning into right now. Moment by moment, breath by breath. Your frequency is your future in motion. The life you live is a reflection of the energy you hold. As you vibrate, so you live. Not because of fate, not because of luck, but because vibration is the root and reality is the fruit. The world is not just reacting to your actions, it's responding to your energy. And when your energy changes, your entire life begins to shift. This is the path we're all being called toward now. A new earth. Not a different planet, but a different frequency of living. One rooted in alignment, in coherence, in truth. And this new reality isn't built on systems of fear, force, or scarcity. It's built through people who remember who they are, people who live from the frequency of the higher self, not the ego self, the one that clings, compares, and controls, but the expanded self, the version of you that knows why you're here, that sees beyond the surface, that feels in harmony with something greater. Your soul didn't come here to repeat patterns. It came to embody a new frequency, one that heals, one that activates, one that leads. And the more you step into that frequency, not just in words but in embodiment, the more aligned your life becomes. Alignment isn't perfection, it's resonance. It's when your inner state matches your outer choices, when your thoughts, emotions, and actions all point in the same direction. And in that alignment, there's power. Not power over others, but power within yourself. The power to say no to what dims your light. The power to say yes to what elevates your spirit. The power to move through fear without becoming it. This is the final shift, not chasing the life you want, but vibrating in a way that makes it inevitable. Not forcing outcomes, but flowing with the field, not performing for the world, but aligning with your truth so deeply, so consistently, that reality has no choice but to reflect it. You were never meant to fit into the old world. You were born to help birth a new one decision at a time, one frequency at a time. So tune in, rise up. Remember, you are the frequency, you are the signal. And when you live in alignment, destiny isn't something you wait for, it's something you become. If everything is energy, if every thought is a signal, if every emotion is a broadcast, then there's only one question that truly matters. What frequency are you choosing? Right now, not yesterday, not someday, not when things calm down, not when it's easier or safer or more convenient, right now. Because this moment, this breath, is the moment that shapes your future, not through force, through frequency. Every time you choose stillness over noise, every time you choose compassion over judgment, every time you choose alignment over approval, you're not just making a decision. You're tuning your life, your relationships, your health, your career, your purpose. It's all vibration. And you are the one holding the dial. There is no final destination. There is only depth, clarity, presence, power. You didn't watch this by accident. You're remembering something ancient, something your soul already knew before this body, this timeline, this life. that you are not here to match the world's energy. You're here to raise it, to walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere, not by what you say, but by what you radiate, to be so anchored in truth, so aligned in intention, so coherent in presence, that the universe bends toward you, because it always does. It's just been waiting for you to notice, waiting for you to wake up, waiting for you to remember that your vibration isn't a reaction to life. It's the source code behind it. This is not about being perfect. It's about being conscious, conscious of your thoughts, conscious of your choices, conscious of your energy, and choosing again and again to embody the frequency of the world you want to live in. Peace, love, clarity, courage, compassion, truth. These aren't just ideals, they're portals. And the more you live in them, the more your life transforms. Effort fades, resistance dissolves, and reality begins to echo the energy you carry. So before this video ends, take a breath. Feel into your body, into your mind, into your field, and ask yourself, what am I vibrating right now? And what reality is that frequency creating? Because the power isn't in the content. It's in what you do with it. It's in who you become after this. If this resonated with you, if something within you stirred, remembered, or awakened, then subscribe, not just to the channel, subscribe to your power, to your path, to your frequency. Because you're not just a human being. You're a conscious creator, and your next evolution starts now.